production. In the mix. With the commish, Nate.
All right, welcome everybody to Press Pass Live. Let me make sure, okay, we're good to go. All right, just making sure that all the buttons are working and everything is where it's supposed to be. I'm coming to you with a hot cup of, what do I have in here? It's some lemon honey tea, because I'm pretty sure I have bronchitis and I'm pretty hard-headed, won't go to the doctor, and so my wife heard me hacking up a youngin here, Smash. And I said young, I meant lung, hacking up a lung. I don't know how you hack up a young, but I'm hacking up a lung in here. And she forced me to take a breathing treatment and then fix one of these right as we're going live. But I've got a fun show tonight. We literally could have like a 3-hour show if we wanted to. We don't want to, but we're going to have a fun show tonight. So we're going to jump right into it. And the very first guy that I'm bringing in here with me is going to be a buddy that I'm really excited to talk about, because even though we did Media Days, which was a freaking blast, and we got to figure out a way to bring that back. It's hard during the off season to bring that back, just because so much happens in our off seasons so quick, like within 5 days, we're in and out. It's hard to do that, but we got to figure out a way to do this again. I'm gonna bring my buddy Cly in here. Jason, Cly, Vertigo, whatever we're going by this week, Jason. I don't know what we're going by. Our owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. How you doing tonight, bud?
I'm doing good. For those who saw the chat, I am happily celebrating my birthday, old man style, just doing nothing, having a drink, relaxing. It's not my birthday today, but it will be in a few days, so I'm doing good. Yeah, hacking up a young sounds like the plot for a horror movie or a slasher film, so
Or
you might be on something there, Nate.
gay porno, maybe.
Nah,
Anyway,
okay.
I had to go there. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to lighten the mode on your birthday. What are we drinking? You said we're just enjoying it with a drink. What are we doing that with?
A little bit of vodka. It's
got to be better than honey lemon tea.
Yeah. It's a little bit better.
Well, man, thank you for making time for us. My guy passed out a little bit and had that little old man nap in there, but I woke him up and got him here for a hot seat. So if you've never watched a hot seat or read a hot seat, it's something I try to do from time to time. Rapid fire question, rapid fire answer. It's a lot of fun, and we've only done one of them audibly, and so we'll see if this one isn't better than the first one. The first one wasn't bad, don't get me wrong, but it was like 25 minutes long, which is not what the hot seat's supposed to be. So, matter of fact, that guy is in the chat right now. My guy Smash, I see you, Smash, raising a cup of hot lemon tea for you, buddy. I hope you're doing well tonight. Clyde, let's jump right into it. What do we first? What do you want to be called?
Listen, for everybody, you see my name is Jason on the chat. Call me Jason. That's fine.
We're going with Jason. Jason, you finally got your hands on a PS5. Make an analogy about how hard it was to get your hands on one of those.
Getting my hands on a PS5 was like selling a body part that you need in order to get something. I'll say it like that. It was more difficult than it needed to be. I had a plan. For those who didn't know, I was going to get mine through Best Buy. Had paid off the credit card. Had space on there to get all the accessories and the accoutrement that would have came with it. But their stock issues had another thing in mind for me, and from there it was just a matter of, well, that money that I paid off on that credit card didn't do me any good, so I need to get my money somewhere else. It took some time, but I finally got my hands on one.
Shout out to Mrs. Vertigo, who allowed this to happen. Without you, sweetheart, we wouldn't have this amazing man with us. And so shout out to Mrs. Vertigo for letting that happen. Look, tell me how hard it was or wasn't to knock off some of the rust after you finally got into the CFM.
I was looking at this the other day because the first person I played when I got the game was Denver. So I had never played um, Madden or Next Gen, and I installed the game. And the first person I played was division rival, Bengals, and he soundly put it to me. And I was looking through my chat, and just to get a little reminder of how that game went, the score might have been he might have won by like 22 points, maybe three possessions, but he easily could have won by well more than that. He actually started to pull the brakes on me by the beginning of the second half, because I was just all over the place. Turnovers. I could not play cornerback. I could not play any type of coverage with any player. So on defense, I was suspect. It was just a terrible game, and it was an eye opening experience for me because I had realized that on next gen, movement was different. Reaction times of the players was different. On offense, windows didn't seem to have the same timing as before, right? Because the breaks of your receivers weren't as crisp or as sharp as they were on previous gen as they are on next gen. So there were things I need to get used to, and I was fearful that I really had no idea how it would be playing him again in the playoffs. So that was one of my concerns. So yeah, it was a definite shock to the system playing the game on next gen.
Coach Jason, what was the hardest adjustment for you to make?
I think for me it was on defense, learning that I can't be as aggressive off the line, and I'm still working on that. But Madden 21, I loved playing press coverage with my corner. If you saw me press coverage, you can almost guarantee that it was man coverage and that I was going to get in your receiver's face and try to bump him off the line. On this one, receivers do a better job of releasing off the line. So I've gotten burnt probably 50% of the times that I played press. Um, so I got to learn how to do it more strategically, as well as a couple other things. But I think that is probably the biggest thing that I'm learning, or the thing that I'm starting to get dividends on. The other one is probably being patient with my run lanes. Before it was, even if I wasn't pressing the sprint button, I was just leaning heavily on the left stick forward, right? Just snap the ball and press it all the way forward to go forward. You have to be a little more strategic with how you do that as well. You can't just run in there full speed. So learning how to be a little bit more patient with my players' movements has been the biggest thing.
Coach, you came in here, no next gen experience. You started late. What week did you actually get started here?
So I got started week 3. That was, and it wasn't just a week 3, like a full week. I was the last game of the advance. I think everyone in the league kind of felt empathy for me, and they held off advance because I came in at hour 70. It felt like of week 3.
Hey, Kev, good to see you. Coach, starting in week 3, no next gen experience, the big learning curve. You still made the playoffs with the Steelers. It's an interesting roster. What were you able to do with this roster that allowed you to make it into the playoffs?
I think a mix between learning gameplay and my import. So when I say learning gameplay, like I mentioned earlier, learning about player movements was critical in my success, and it pretty much you could see with my record where the learning curve had started to be hit, right? Where I start to actually make sense of what I needed to do, because at the same time I was able to find better success with Najee Harris. I honestly feel like my success though with Najee Harris was accelerated by the fact that I had a very strong import playing center. I imported a stud center, and typically I wouldn't think that anybody on the offensive line has that immediate of an impact. But in the case of the Steelers, their offensive line in real life and in reg rosters is lacking. not because they're just talentless, but because they're experienceless. I think there's two players on their offensive line in real life that have more than 2 years experience. Everyone else is either a rookie or a second year player. Um, and it shows. So bringing him in really had an immediate impact because once I was able to be patient and learn how to run effectively behind my offensive line, I think it made a huge impact on my ability to at least be competitive in more games.
Coach, what is the complications of this roster kind of moving into season 98?
I think I answered one question, um, the one that everyone knows, is that's quarterback. Real life, Roethlisberger is retiring, most likely. And in CFM, I was kind of under that same impression. So I went out and made a trade. Excuse me. I went out and made a trade for a quarterback that gave me a little bit of luxury to have a starter, or at least a player that I felt was starter caliber, for a couple years under contract, under a rookie contract, yet be flexible enough if I need to make a plan in the future. I can dump him or let him ride out the end of his contract without there being much of a penalty. So beyond quarterback, I think the rest of the spots that I'm going to be looking at are going to be on the defensive end. I am pretty healthy in the wide receiver room. I think Najee Harris has proven himself as a stud. So really, it's just a matter of having backups for him. Offensive line, it is I'm not unsatisfied with them. They just need more experience, so I don't want to get rid of them yet. So that leaves me all on defense. Finding some a middle linebacker help because I don't know. Breaking story, breaking news. I don't know if Devin Bush is going to be forever in Pittsburgh. So maybe finding his replacement or finding a more suitable cornerback. Even though I like to play cornerback, I've noticed I can't spend my time on that position as a user. So finding a, a suitable cornerback in the draft or in free agency might be a priority. So yes, it's on the defense, off the line of scrimmage, looking at middle linebacker or cornerback, trying to shore up those positions. Um, Other than that, I think my team is actually in a competitive position.
Most difficult part about starting Jordan Love and trying to groom him to be the guy in Pittsburgh?
So it's knowing that the speed ratings aren't necessarily a good indicator of how well that player can move in the pocket. Um, I think the first time I played with him, I was playing extremely passive, um, like I was still playing with Dwayne Haskins, who is not Ben Roethlisberger slow, but he is not speedy in any sense. So when I got my hands on Love, I actually never really ran much with him the first couple games. I think it was maybe week 12, week 10 time frame. Somewhere in that time frame, I actually start to move with him a little bit more, become more mobile. Um, and I think I need to do more of that. He has a very respectable carrying rating for a quarterback. He's not meant to be running 12 times a game, but I think strategically when employed, if I can get 4 runs in with him, it'll probably be runs that will move the chains or at least put my team in a position to move the chains on a subsequent down, right? So that development of learning how to change my play style to use a quarterback that's a little bit more mobile is something that I'm learning how to manage, and that hopefully I'll be able to employ more efficiently moving forward with Jordan Love.
Coach, tell me, what is it? How I should have had this one better phrased. It didn't want to come out of my head the way I originally wanted it. But what is the real predictions, the real standard for the Steelers moving forward? Are we going to go through a rebuild phase, or can we build on this playoff berth in season 97?
I think that our success this year was a good indication of what's capable in this division. I think had the Browns and possibly the Bengals. I think the Bengals are still in a great position. I mean, they're in the playoffs for the love for the love of God, right there. They made it as a wild card, but or actually no, I think they won the division, right? So I think if the Browns had played stronger this season, the Steelers would not have made the playoffs. I don't think we would have made the playoffs without winning our division matchup against them. Those were two games that we could have easily lost, and had we lost, we wouldn't have been in the playoffs. The Browns would have, in my opinion. So I don't want to look at this as a rebuilding because I think we're capable of being competitive now. We just have to do better. Believe it or not, winning 11 games, um, while while it could be looked at as a something to celebrate, in all actuality, probably three or four of those games were extremely close last minute wins on either Hail Marys or last second field goals where we had to really fight to get into field goal position to put ourselves in a position to win. Those games can easily flip 11 games very, very easily. So moving forward, I don't want to look at this as a rebuilding because I can see we're close enough to continue winning. We just have to do a better job on defense, keeping our team from being subject to comebacks, because we did have a few teams do comebacks on us. And also, I need to do a better job of opening games. So many games this cycle, I started from behind. Um, Giggity. I was in a position where I had to make a comeback. If I could do a better job of that in season 98, I think this team is actually a perennial playoff contender. I have to get a little bit more benefits there. Building up the defensive line because that's where probably the most of my age and, or not just the most of my age, but uh, the biggest discrepancy between my veterans and my rookies or my young players. Cam Hayward, who's arguably